Well, welcome back to Today's Money.
What's up, guys?
I'm Rylee.
I cut you off there.
I know you did. Rude.
I'm Austin. We appreciate you guys being here. Today's video is sponsored by Autonomous, as always. They've hooked us up with not one, not two, but three amazing standing desks. I've got the first one that came out a couple years ago over there, and we've got two new ones. Rylee has one, and I have one. Make sure you guys check out the office tour video that we did. We put a bunch of links in that description for you for the bookshelf, the ring light, the camera that you're seeing this shot on, the tripod, the crystals, all of that stuff is linked in that video. But if you're just looking for the standing desk, there's going to be a link down below. So, you have a question for me, you said, that I think applies a lot to what we're going through or what we were going through this morning in the chat. So let's hear it. Let's start with this and then we'll get into some stuff.
So to start things off, I wanted to ask you a question of just how you deal with some things personally in trading, because I feel like a lot of the videos is always you giving out advice to other people, but it's almost different to hear it from, okay, well, if you're in this exact situation, what do you do? So say that you're up early. It's an early morning for you. You're up 1:30 in the morning, you know, like a crazy person, and you take a trade and it results in a loss. What do you do then to keep yourself from revenge trading, emotion trading later in the session when you're like, okay, maybe now it's 6 a.m. You might think a trade is presenting, but how do you keep your emotions in check to know that it's an actual real entry and not just you trying to make back the loss from earlier in the morning?
Yeah, it's a really good question. First thing that I do that really is, I think, what everyone should do is it's focused on accountability. So for me, I share all of my trades. Like I was saying, most of them are on Instagram and Twitter, but all of them are going into the chat. I'm normally sharing, hey, this is what I'm looking at. This is what I'm looking to get involved in, and this is why. I'm sharing a markup. I'm sharing the whole idea. So by sharing the idea and then sharing the result of the idea of the trade, I'm then aware of the fact that the next trade I take, I've got even more eyeballs on me, which holds me accountable to then be even sharper in the analysis of the follow-up trade. I don't want to sling it because I know I got to show it, and I know if I show that I'm slinging it and I'm fudging it and I'm breaking my rules, people are going to be like, Austin, how are you going to be the guy leading the charge if you're breaking your own rules? And now I never claim to be the best trader. I break my own rules all the time. It happens. But I think not all the time, some of the time, we all do. But I think the accountability has been a big thing for me to help bounce back from a loss, come back, okay, next one good trade. Also reading the book, One Good Trade by Mike Bellafiore, which is linked in the office tour video. That book has helped me a lot too. I think that was a huge turning point for my trading career, was reading that. And understanding that one good system, one good trade over and over and over again, even if it doesn't present every day, can lead you to financial freedom. So that was what I took from that. And then I think taking a break too, like 15 minutes away from the chart, I think I tweeted that yesterday, that can make a big difference. When you walk away and don't look at anything, your group chat, your Twitter, your Instagram, your charts, nothing for 15 minutes, and then you got to come back to it, I think that makes a big difference. You go meditate for 10 minutes, like download the Waking Up app or whatever app you want to use, Headspace or whatever, go meditate for 10 minutes after that first loss. You'll come back and you'll take a much better trade the second trade. But if you sit there and you don't blink and you just stare at it and you're like, where's the entry? You're going to screw it up. I've been there. You know what I mean? I'm not being funny. Like that's what you end up doing. You're married to it, especially if you're in the same idea. And for us, if you're trading a good looking trade, more often you're not even wrong. You're just early and literally just early time-wise in the day. So you just need to wait for the better entry. That's why I do kind of like the fact that I don't always wake up super early. I like getting up at 5 because then, we got London going. We're getting into New York. We got some volume. The moves there are a lot more solid. You don't get stuck in those early morning trap moves when it still ends up going in the direction that you wanted.
Are there any questions that you ask yourself to ensure that maybe the second entry is not a revenge trade? It's not you emotional trading? Like, how do you keep your emotions in check to know that, okay, yes, this is a valid second opportunity that I should be entering?
The checklist. You still use the same questions, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you're going to come back and look at the markup. You're going to look at the chart for that day, and you're going to see the moves that fit the system. And you're going to say, well, why wasn't I in that one? Well, why was I in the first one but not in the second one? What reasoning can you try to give me that makes sense? If they're both valid entries, both gradable risk reward, and you took the first one and lost, especially if you're trading our system, you better be in the second trade. If it fits, it can't be a fudge. You can't be like, oh, it's a good candle formation, but the TDI wasn't right, but I thought it could still fall. That's not right.
Right. So the checklist really helps keep the emotions in balance because the checklist makes it kind of binary. It either is or it isn't.
And then at the same time, if you do think that there's going to be a move in that direction, let's say you're going short Euro USD, you get stopped out. It still looks like it comes short 3 hours later. You don't get an entry and it falls 100 pips lower that day. Some massive thing happens. You can't feel FOMO when that happens. You just can't take the trade. There's no re-entry. There's no trade.
Right. Because without an entry, without all of your parameters checked off, it's like...
You're gambling.
What are you doing?
Gambling. If you're not on the edge, you're gambling. Win or lose has no impact on the sentence I just said. The guys that go off the edge and win, it's building a bad habit. You're going to get reinforcing a win behind something that is not a system. So it's reinforcing gambling, which isn't going to make you money in the long run. So those are like the worst trades. Losses are actually not that bad. If you take a good loss and you look at it and you're like, yo, this is my checklist. This makes me money more times than not. This fits my checklist and I still took the loss. You move on. Like, it's life. You're still going to lose trades. You got to be willing to take that. That's the overarching theme for this whole question. You got to be willing to take losses. If you have such an ego where you think you can't be wrong and can't lose money,
it's going to happen in
adios,
trading.
bro. You ain't making it here. No, definitely not.
So you'd say overall, just the accountability piece and having that checklist.
Definitely. And taking a break.
And taking a break, yes.
The break can definitely make a difference.
Pulling yourself away from the charts.
Definitely. So transitioning to some of the news that's going on, shaking up the world today. The Jackson Hole Symposium that you learned about for the first time this week. I'm proud of you.
I did.
Shout out to Gwendolyn for the awesome Instagram post too. That was very helpful.
Yeah, she made it simple to understand as well.
So that started today. Powell spoke around 9 o'clock this morning, and we saw crazy moves in the market. And basically what they said, and this kind of ties into our last video, basically, and I'll link that above here
Just
too.
quick, for those who don't know, who is Powell?
The chairman of the Federal Reserve in the United States. Like the worst job in the world. No. So what they basically said, and they always use a lot of words, and they talk in circles, they talk in these weird sentences. What he basically said, and I'm going to read it from Walter Bloomberg's Twitter. The Fed will now target 2% inflation on average. And it's really important to understand these words that they use, okay? In that sentence, 2% inflation on average, you can have 2% inflation if it goes up to 15% one year and then it's only 1% the next year. You know what I'm saying? So realize that it can go really high and still average out to 2%. So be aware of the words that they're using. That's the first thing. CNBC said the Federal Reserve announces a major policy shift, saying that it's willing to allow inflation to run hotter than normal in order to support the labor market and the broader economy.
What does that even mean?
What they're saying is they're willing to let inflation, which is people think inflation is prices going up, and it is, but it's going up because they're printing more money. Inflation is more money injected into the system. Printing of more money. That's what inflation really is.
So
because it drives the value of the dollars down as they print more of it.
That's what I was just going to ask. So inflation devalues the dollar.
Correct. Exactly. So what they're doing now is they're allowing inflation to run hotter in order to keep the labor market and the broader economy balanced, they're saying. So what they're going to do is allow consumer prices to probably rise. And really what they were saying, a lot of people were tweeting, is that they're saying buy stocks, put your money into the stock market. And in theory, it's because that's what they're doing. They're buying corporate bonds. They're putting money into the stock market. The Federal Reserve is. It's putting money into these companies. So just another tweet.
I think it's kind of interesting that the Fed is causing inflation purposefully, but in the end, it's really just devaluing the dollar, and the dollar is what our economy is based on.
It puts us in a tough position.
Right. It's
if you look at these charts, like how they've spiked in the last couple of months, it's like, how would we ever come back from this? We're not. We're just going to have insane amounts of debts. What comes after $1 trillion? Somebody drop a comment. What comes after $1 trillion? We looked this up.
Quadrillion.
That's what we're going to be talking about the terms of our debt in soon. It's just going to keep going up. Hundreds of trillions. It doesn't matter when they're willing to let inflation run hotter, only to average out at 2%, which means it can go way high as long as they eventually bring it back down. You know what I'm saying?
Eventually.
Yeah. So let us know what you guys think about that. Now, how that can tie into, and when I say that, I mean the inflation part of this. Let's tie that into the Bitcoin stuff. Because what we were talking about before.
Well, before we get into Bitcoin, do you think that this could be like this could result in what's the word I'm looking for? Like the downfall of the dollar being...
It's a tough thing to talk about. That's the good transition into Bitcoin. Because if the dollar goes away, bye-bye.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about that, how that actually would look.
That wasn't even a full question, but I feel like you understand what I'm trying to say.
My question would be, what would take its place? Yeah. Give a good argument for what's going to take its place, and then we can talk about when it's going to go away. We can say over and over and over again that throughout history, when this has happened, the currency that it happens to goes away and they kill it and a new currency comes. Ray Dalio can do the research to prove the economic cycle of what we're going through, the New World Order. Fine. But that does not mean that that's going to happen again. It could be a whole new situation that we've never seen that we're living through right now in the next 10 years, 15, 20 years. We don't know. So that's why, to transition to Bitcoin.
I have another question.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, good, please.
So with the dollar, because obviously we have the US dollar, but we also have the Canadian dollar.
Yeah.
When we say dollar, would that impact Canada, or is that dollar
absolutely
separate because it's considered a Canadian dollar?
It all is tied together. It's all backed by the US dollar is the world reserve currency. So
because we have the dollar, the dollar is just the word we use for the money here in America, and then also United States, and then in Canada.
Yeah.
Is that the same dollar that we're talking about?
No. Our dollar here is stronger than the Canadian dollar.
But would it affect the Canadian?
Actually, I don't know if it isn't right now. Currently, as the dollar's been tanking, it might not be as strong as the Canadian dollar.
So the Canadian dollar is not being impacted by the Fed?
No, not directly, but indirectly, yes.
Indirectly, yes, but not directly.
No.
So in that sense,
if you live in Canada, you don't give a fuck what I'm talking about.
So in that sense, dollar is separate.
Yeah.
It's still dollar, but it's just different because it's
printing
different
Canadian
country.
dollars in Canada. And they're using, you know what I mean?
Right.
And they're giving their stimulus checks don't come in American dollars in Canada.
Right. They come in Canadian dollars.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, different. Definitely different. But it all comes back to your question of what would we go to? My response to your question is what would we go? It looks like the U.S. is making a move to make gold some type of involvement in this. We're storing too much of it to not be trying to involve it in some type of future decision.
Is anything backed by gold right now?
No.
So gold is just...
Gold. Free floating. And if they came out one day and said, hey, gold's at 10,000, we're going to say we're going to shoot the value of gold up to 10,000 in order to make blah, blah, blah work with the dollar, and then the dollar can work longer. It's possible. Like that. Do
you think they'll attach Bitcoin to gold?
No, the Bitcoin people wouldn't let that happen. You'll be able to trade a value of Bitcoin to gold, like a spot value of the comparison, like we trade a currency pair maybe, like BTC to XAU, right?
Yeah.
But no, I don't know if you'd ever be able to tie them together.
Because you said Bitcoin only has value because the internet says it has value.
No. Bitcoin only has value too for the same way as gold, that it's finite as far as we know. There's only going to be 21 million.
Those two reasons.
People
so
agree,
it's could you
finite.
attach that then to gold?
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I don't think so. Maybe. I'm not an economist. I'm not an insider on Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just asking questions.
No, they're good questions. It's good questions. I just think...
If anybody has the answer, let me know.
Comment below. Tell us what you guys think. We definitely want to know. But I think the idea of tying Bitcoin to gold... They're comparable. People have called Bitcoin the crypto gold for a long time. Basically, what people really think is that Bitcoin is to millennials what gold is to baby boomers. My dad's generation, your parents, my parents. They all think gold is the shit. Gold is money. Gold is what we need.
So
we all think Bitcoin is.
So this can transition into our next conversation.
Take us there.
So if Bitcoin is the gold to baby boomers, like for us, why did you ask me the question before this podcast if we should take our money out of Bitcoin, yet you didn't ask about taking our money out of gold or buying less gold or selling the gold that we currently have?
The fundamental value of gold is so well established in the trenches of institutional finance that you're making a probability-wise, a Bitcoin bet, a gold bet, the probabilities favor gold because time favors gold. Every time it's always gone up in value throughout history over the broader spectrum of time. And it's existed through every stock market. It probably was a valuable asset even during the Tulip Mania back in Amsterdam, back in hundreds of years ago, whenever that was. 1400, 1600, whatever it was, right?
But it's interesting. It has so much value, yet nothing is tied to it. No other world currencies, nothing.
You know who came up with that idea? This is where you go to start the conspiracy theory rabbit hole. You go to the guys that decided to take the dollar off the gold standard and let it float freely.
Was that
as soon as it got to float, bro, Gold went from 35 to 200, and from 200 to 700, and from 700 to 1100 before it pulled back, really. It's been moving ever since they let it go in the 70s. It's really not even that long ago.
It's really not.
It's not.
That's
it's half a generation.
I would say that's not even one people ago.
Nope. So you got guys just trying to make decisions that really do impact a lot of people. And it would be perfectly acceptable, I think, for the Democrats to come out with some type of plan that is super socialist and does something with the dollar. I don't know what. There's so many options. Ties it to a crypto, makes its own crypto, ties it to gold, ties it to Bitcoin. There's so many options.
You think that's a possibility, tying the dollar to crypto?
They'll make a digital dollar. They'll tell you can take the cash
but then and
convert it to this money, this new money.
So then what would that be backed by?
I don't know. But remember, back in the day,
because it's dollar, and the dollar is not backed by anything. So
correct.
Nothing. So it's just like
Fed
Bitcoin.
Money. Right.
It's nothing.
No, Bitcoin is something because you have a decentralized network of people that agree that it's a market. The printing of money is just the printing of money. But again, it's such a serious conversation to think that the dollar would just disappear. You have to understand like the implications of that. Like to take the dollar out of the world reserve currency, out of that position, that would be such a freaking like big deal. Like it would be such a big deal. It'd be the biggest thing of our lifetime so far. Bigger than 9/11, bigger than coronavirus. It'd be the biggest thing ever.
What is China's
It might not get
currency?
the kind of coverage. The yuan.
The yuan?
The yuan.
Do you think, could that take over?
So that's been pegged to the dollar. It's 7 yuan for every American dollar. That's why a lot of people think China is manipulating the system, because as we print the dollars, and pay them back in the debt that we owe them in dollars, it gives them more of their own currency that the government then uses, just for whatever they use it for. I'm not going to say stay rich, but they'll move it to where they need to move it. You know what I'm saying? So think about that. $1 is 7 yuan.
That's crazy.
Right. But But
I feel like it's not impossible for the dollar to collapse.
No.
Oh, that's the word I was looking for earlier.
Yeah.
Collapse.
Well, no. Look at the dollar index, right? It's dropped now from 103, 100, whatever it was a couple of months ago in March, right? It was over 100. Now it's down to 92. So when we take out 80 and we take out 77, which is the lowest that it's ever been charted, and then we take out 60, there's nothing that's going to stop it.
I guess my thought is, why do we think necessarily that if the dollar were to collapse, that it would have to be a digital currency that overtook it? Why wouldn't it be able to be another country?
Well, because, right, it could be China, right? You could think. But what would be more likely then is everybody would go back to having their own individual currency. Like you would never have another world reserve that we would agree to being a world reserve currency behind China. That would never happen, I don't think, with the U.S. But you might have the U.S. go back to some type of gold standard, like I'm saying. Like tie it to the value. Like $1 is actually now going to be worth $5,000, or 1 ounce of gold is going to be worth $5,000. They could just magically decide that. They have 800 tons or 8 million tons of gold.
So what would that do to the debt if they've retied the dollar back to gold?
I think Peter Schiff says that would actually be the right thing. It'd be painful in the short term, but it would be the right move in the long run. Because then the debts that wouldn't be paid back would default. The companies would be dispersed. The assets would be distributed. Whether it's a company or a government, the entity would cease to exist and it would be reestablished. So it would be painful, but really good in the long run.
I don't know if you know this, but do you know where the majority of our debt comes from?
Who holds the most debt?
Like I guess like what, like if you were looking at it like a pie chart, like
yes,
which
that's exactly what I saw.
Which category holds the biggest piece of pie?
What do you think it is?
My first gut reaction says military.
Japan. Oh, you meant like where's the debt? Like where do we spend the money?
Yeah.
That you'll never know, right?
Oh.
But we know, like if you look at it like this, Japan, it says they have 1.271 billion
of our debt.
18% of the total. Yeah. Japan holds more U.S. debt than any other country in the world it's $1 trillion, 1.2 trillion, or 18.67% of the total. China used to own most of the debt, but now is in second place, just at 15.88%. No other country besides Japan and China holds more than 6% of total foreign debt. Damn. So those two countries hold 18 and 15, and then no other country has at least 6.
But wait, can you explain that to me? What does it mean when another country's holding our debt that they bought?
It means we needed money. Right? The government wanted money.
Yeah.
So we took a loan from that Chinese government.
Yeah.
And then we said, we'll pay you back at a certain interest rate. We are now in debt to China at 15% of our total debt.
I would just love to see like balancing, like, I don't know what the actual accounting term
Well,
is for this, but like
let's
the
go
balance
full
statement.
tinfoil hat. Do you know what? In
Because-
9/11, when they crashed the airplane into the fucking Pentagon and blew up that side of the Pentagon, all the files there about the trillions of dollars that went missing
Right.
just disappeared too.
Well,
you know
because-
why? Because they're all doing numbers and it's like, oh my God, Fred 3 steps ago, he probably forgot a zero here. Here, just add the zero. We're fine.
Well, but China also owns so much of, I don't know how to say it. Like,
Everything. China's taking over the world. They
right,
own
that's
Australia.
what I'm saying. They
own
own so many
Africa.
of American businesses,
Yeah.
yet they also own our debt. So wouldn't that cancel each other out in China's side? Like, if China owns, just for easy numbers, say China owns $10 of American debt, but they also own companies that equal like $10 of American debt. Wouldn't that cancel it out for China's sake?
Well, the
but
company
like put
you're saying
us
would
in a worse sake because we're still in debt and now we also don't own this company either?
Well, no. Well, I get what you're saying, but no, because remember how a company operates. It generates revenue, or supposedly it generates revenue.
Yeah.
A lot of these zombie companies that people talk about are Chinese-owned companies that trade on the American Stock Exchange and generate a stock price and generate money because they're a stock, even though they're not a real company. They're a shell from China. And that happens, and people trade these Chinese companies. Some of them, you have companies that say they're based in China, and then there's videos on YouTube of the guys going to check out the company in China, and it's nothing of what they said. They're like, yeah, we got gold mines coming out the butt, and we got all these trucks, and then the guys go there, and there's nothing there.
And it's like an empty garage.
Nothing. I think it was a garbage plant, not a gold mine. But that's another thing, just to quickly go to gold and silver.
Hey,
like,
one man's trash is another man's treasure.
to some extent, I guess. You're funny, brother. But even with some of these gold and silver mining stocks that people have been talking about, you're buying a mine in Mali, Africa. And I love the internet because we can connect with all my brothers in Nigeria that love us, and I love all that, right? All over the world, the internet's everywhere. But you want to invest in a company that says they got a mine in Mali? Oh, they just released I swear to God, they just released there's one company I was looking at. They just released a press release that said, the civil conflict at the border will be over soon and we'll be able to ship our goods back out of the country. Like, that's what some of these guys get involved in. So when you talk about like international companies that say one thing but are really doing something else, it's a big thing. It's in gold mining stocks. It's in these Chinese companies. It's speculative. It's all very speculative, which goes into the webinar that I'm working on about stocks versus Forex versus crypto, because I think in Forex, you take out a lot of that speculation from these stocks, these Chinese stocks, these gold mining stocks. You don't know what the fuck is going on. None of us do. People on the internet think they know what's going on behind the scenes because they're reading Yahoo Finance. Come on, bro. It's a joke. But anyway.
It just makes my brain hurt. Like, why can't the world, I'm just going to be Rylee for a minute. Why can't everybody just get along? Like, why do we have to have all these national territories and different countries? Like, we're all freaking human. Can't we all just decide to be nice to each other and be fair?
No.
But why?
Because the world hasn't done enough mushrooms yet to get over the fact that we have to compete and fight for resources. And there's a lot of people now.
Like, humans
so
are
your country
scared
has to
of
go
humans.
your country has to defend for you. They need to produce food so you can eat and order Panera and do all these things. And if they don't, what are you going to do? Revolt or leave? So no, the country has to defend its people and take care of its people. That's what they do.
But if everybody took
And
care
I'll
of
kill the other country if I have to. Yeah. There's only so much space left on this earth, and everybody keeps fucking and making kids. I need to defend. That's the place that we're in. That's why all this exists.
I don't know. I just think there's a better
Get us to Mars.
solution.
Get us to Mars, Rylee.
I think if we just erased, if we just need a clean slate, yeah, get us to Mars. Let us have a clean slate. President Rylee on Mars, but I don't want to be a president.
Let me give you another stat that kind of will blow your mind. So, it's sad.
How sad?
Today, another 1 million people filed for unemployment. So, in the last 6 weeks...
You know, before you go on, that is a sad number, but the other side of me is like, I'm also very aware of all the people filing for unemployment that do not need it at all and are just taking advantage of the system. So it's like, what percentage of that 1 million is taking advantage versus actually needs it?
And what about the percentage of people that are not getting it that need it?
Exactly.
Right. So there's a lot of this.
So it's a sad number, but just
why
like
you
you
have to
said
look at both
earlier
sides.
about, oh, he forgot the zero,
Sure.
just add it here.
27 million people currently getting unemployment benefits. 27 million. So that's more than any time during the 2008 recession. If you look at this chart, we can get to that one in a second. No, come on. I know Steve Burns posted it. It was showing mortgage delinquencies are at an all-time high over the last 20 years, higher than they were in 2008, which was the housing crisis. But you have more people failing to pay their mortgage now? Here's another interesting thing, just to talk about the divide. If you were to look, it says the top 10% of earners owned 87% of all the stocks outstanding in the first quarter of 2020. So what that means...
That doesn't surprise me.
You get what that means. Just the top 1% of people own 50% of the stocks.
But you have to have money to spend money to invest in stocks like that.
So you saw Jeff Bezos' net worth crossed $200 billion. He's the first person ever. That's because his stock price, I mean, Amazon today, let's see what they're up. I mean, every day, Amazon and Tesla, it's Elon and Jeff going at it for who's going to be the richer guy. Right now, you have Amazon trading at $34.17, so $3,000 a share, right? If you were to just go back 10 years ago, I mean, it won't, look how small it is. Like, it's insane to see what they've done in just the last 2 years. How high does this one go? So if you want to talk about Bitcoin and does it go to 10K, is Amazon going to 10K? You know?
I don't see Amazon stopping anytime soon unless they're forced to, like, separate their businesses.
Right. Which the Democrats will try to do. The liberals will try to do that.
They are becoming gotta love Amazon, but they are becoming a monopoly.
Monopoly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Like everything that they are in every sector.
Yep. But they also distribute other people's goods.
Now they even just came out with that. You just sent me that.
I know, it's right here. Amazon rolls out the Halo.
Yeah.
That was something else.
That detects your emotions.
A wellness tracker that says it can also sense your moods. Come on, man.
It's like a mood ring.
Jeff, get out of my ass.
Let's go back to
Just
2003 and all wear our mood rings.
See, I got a couple more here I'd like to talk about.
But that's back to your stat about the chart about the top 1% owning 50%.
Yeah.
Just back to my point, it makes sense because people that aren't in the top 1%, say they're in like the lower 50%, they don't even have an extra $500 if a accident or something comes up to where they need it, let alone money to invest in a stock. So it's not surprising at all that the richer people are invested in stocks.
And I mean, if you look at it, right? Like, imagine if we had just bought Tesla when we were talking about it when the coronavirus hit and it dropped to 400. And I was like, I think it could still come lower. I mean, it's at 2,500 almost a share, if not more than that now. We would have 5, 6, 7x and more.
Yeah.
You know? So it's easy to see how if somebody comes in and buys 200,000 shares of that, and I mean, you become a millionaire very quickly if you've got the bread, like you said. So if you've got the bread, then you can keep buying more. And in a market right now where the Fed is just pumping prices higher and they're literally saying, don't save money, buy assets. Mm-hmm. What's that going to do? Just drive stock prices even higher. So this is an interesting tweet. Lebanon is a country where they had that explosion at the port a couple of weeks ago. Remember the big explosion?
Yeah. Where's Lebanon?
Above Israel.
So
the Middle East.
Okay.
In March, their inflation was under 20%. Today, it's August 28th. Their inflation is 112%. So when this falls, it can fall very fast. Yeah, I'll say it again.
And remember when ours said an average of 2% inflation?
Hungary, 1946 inflation, 207%. Zimbabwe, 2008 daily inflation rate was 98%. Prices doubled every 25 hours. Yugoslavia, 1994, daily inflation. This is daily. It's going up 65%. Germany in 1923, 21%. So it's happened before where inflation just goes and goes. And where we all need to be aware of like this and where we need to pay attention is in our savings, in our spending. Sitting on cash right now is probably a decent idea, like we talked about, like having a little savings, having your 3 to 6 months, probably 6 months now is smarter. But if they just start making everything super expensive, like, how are people even going to live? Well, wait, the government's going to print them money and give them money. You're going to get $2,000, I was just going to say, but everything's going to go up and your expenses are going to be $6,000 a month for people that have never even seen $6,000 a month. People would die right now listening to this to have expenses of $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a month and make enough money to cover that. Soon, it could be like hogwash, like nothing. $6,000 a month. Oh yeah, I spent $6,000 a month on rent for my 1-bedroom apartment. You're seeing it in San Francisco, in some of these areas in California where there's like 1-bedroom houses for $4 million.
So all those people filing for unemployment, do you think the government would then give them more money because of inflation?
Well, that was the whole thing in July. Remember, everybody had the 600 extra. Then Trump said some people were going to get 300 extra. Now nobody's getting anything extra as of right now. It's all over now,
right.
And nobody's getting any stimulus checks. Remember this whole thing?
No. I'm not speaking because of Corona. I don't really care about COVID. I'm just saying in general, if inflation is going up, prices are increasing.
They won't give unemployed people more money. They'll give everybody a lot
So it's
of money.
unemployment numbers are going up.
They don't care.
Right. But yet inflation's going up. So it's how do you expect people to pay for shit?
But it's happening because of the divide. Because the rich people are buying stocks. They're getting richer. The people that are not invested in the market, they're getting laid off, waiting for work, waiting for a handout, waiting for a check from the government, waiting for an answer from an administration that's basically failed them. It's safe to say Trump fucked up pretty bad at this point, where you have this many people hurting. The coronavirus was bad, and who knows how Hillary would have handled it? Who knows? Jesus, help us, God, when Biden gets his hand on the wheel. But,
you just said that as if he's going to win.
There's a chance that he does.
I'm just saying, you said that like he already won. Got to point that out.
I don't want either of them to win. I just don't. I want them both to die.
Can we just come up with a new system where we don't even have a president?
YouTube's going to take this video down. But I'd be happy if Trump got shot. I would be so happy. I like a lot of the stuff he's done, but I'd be really happy. It's just too divisive. I think that killing would be very divisive. It'd be bad and so gruesome and so there'd be riots everywhere. The white people would get their machine guns and the black people would have their protest signs. And they would all be yelling at each other. It'd be so bad if that happened, right? Especially if a black guy killed him, it'd be terrible. But think about what could come from that.
I got no comment.
But think about what could come from that. So much better. Or worse.
Maybe.
Or worse.
Right.
Pence
you
is
have
in
no
charge.
idea?
No, I don't. That's why we're just talking on a podcast. And I'm not in charge of this shit. That's why I'm thinking about leaving the country and I can leave. See, that's why the smart people don't participate in this shit, because they make enough money to get the fuck out. That's what we're trying to do. I wrote today in my journal, I'm like, if I'm going to get a B, I'm going to need other people's money. I had some thoughts about this. I'll tell you about it later. I'm not waiting for the government to give me shit. I'm thinking about getting a B and getting out of here. And you could deal with all this, and we could talk about this from our boat, from our yacht, with a helicopter on the back. I'm dead ass serious. Bigger goals.
It just
Get
reminds
me the fuck out of all this.
A conversation I was having this morning with one of my friends about how right now, she was speaking about the job opportunities and how there just really isn't a lot out there right now for what she wants to do.
Yep.
And I said to her, I was like, you got to create your own opportunity. We live in a world and not in a world, I should say it's mainly our society, that you grow up and you're taught to respect authority, listen to your elders, respect your elders. Well, when the authority and your elders are all trying to guide you down the same path of, go to college, get a degree, get a 9-to-5 job with great benefits and slave your life away, work the 9-to-5. It's you listen to that, but then when that doesn't make you happy and that doesn't serve you, you feel so stuck and you're like, well, where do I go from now? Humans aren't taught to create their own opportunities anymore. We're not taught to think for ourselves and realize hey, yes, respect authority to a point.
Is it too late?
But not when it fucks up your life.
Is it too late to teach people that? Because I would argue that it is.
I
knew you would say no. I would say that it is.
No, I don't think it is at all, because I think.
But the system around us of government.
But look at us.
Of organization.
I don't really care about the system.
Yeah, because you're making money and you're above it in your own little way, and you're in a little bubble.
But I had to get here. I didn't.
Yes, you had to create.
This.
Yes, you had to create.
I did go I went to 4 colleges to get my degree.
Fair, but I'm saying, imagine if they taught everyone to create. That wouldn't have given the system the functioning purpose that it needed to serve. The system was built for a reason, to educate people to live in the Industrial Revolution.
Right.
The system wasn't built to teach people how to live through the technology revolution. And the system wasn't built how to teach people how to create and innovate through new revolutions. It's not. The education system was built by John D. Rockefeller's family. Literally, that's who, look it up. That's what it was built. And it was during the Industrial Revolution to teach people how to be factory workers, line workers. That's what they were conditioning people to be.
Well, that's because
in grade school.
At that time period, they were somewhere else where they thought that was the newest and next best thing, and they were
press, they were like, what?
They were education.
This is printing paper?
Needs to be around the Industrial Revolution.
Right. Everyone needs to learn how to work a printing press.
Right.
Yeah.
So now we're going with the times where that doesn't make sense anymore. So yes, I think it does need to change, and I don't think it's too late. But when you asked that, I took it more on an individual level, not a whole system level. I think that any and every individual still has the opportunity and
more opportunity now than ever.
Right. Everything within themselves to give themselves whatever life they want.
Sure.
As for a society and where that's going in our education route, it's so hard to say, and that's a whole different episode we could do. But for the individual, yes, I don't think it's too late at all. You can absolutely
look at COVID.
Learn.
COVID creates a problem. People make money when you solve other people's problems. COVID has given a lot of people headaches. Start a daycare, start a service, start a business, do something to But again, that goes back to the conditioning. A lot of kids are like not even conditioned to think about, let me generate revenue. They just think, who do I need to work for? What are my tasks today? Not, how do I create my own task list?
But
how do I do my own thing?
I think the kids nowadays are different because they're growing up on YouTube. They're seeing all of these different ways that they can make money.
We should be targeting like 13-year-olds. With Forex stuff.
The kids
That's what we should be doing. Yeah,
like,
I'm dead serious.
No offense, but fuck the old people.
They're, right. A 50-year-old watching these videos saying, all these kids, and what are they doing with that colorful machine that makes the laughing noise and stuff like that? Like, what are they doing?
It's like they still have a future, of course, but the kids have a longer future.
Well, don't lie to them. Some of them don't.
No, well, they could.
What do you think about this?
They could, though.
Nah, yeah, maybe.
They could.
It's tough. It's tougher. What do you think? They're just so close-minded.
I'm clearly the optimistic one here.
I just think a lot of you 50-year-olds are way too close-minded to want to do this.
But what if you could open their mind? Let them have a conversation with me.
Some of them come with an open mind. I've never opened someone's mind. You can never tell people what to do.
No, you don't tell them what to do.
Or they come open-minded, or they don't come at all.
Well, it's like a can of beans. If you just throw it at the wall, it's not going to open. You got to know how to maneuver the can opener so that it opens the right way without any cuts. You don't lose any beans. Then you slowly pour it out.
Is this a fucking joke because I don't cook?
No. Do I?
Right.
Not really.
Right. What do you think about the Nancy Pelosi video today saying she doesn't think we should have any debates? She said this, quote, "Don't tell Joe Biden, but I don't think we should have any debates. Don't tell anybody I told you this, especially don't tell Joe Biden. I don't think there should be any debates." The foundation of democracy, and she's a Democrat, is
a demo.
It's on debate. It's on free discussion.
Yeah, but they know that Joe doesn't really stand a chance on it.
Of course they know, but this is like them admitting that they know that he's a fucking idiot and he's old and he can't do this.
But that's the thing, is if all of them know that, it's like,
why not just find someone else?
Right. There's so many people
because
on
he's
this world. I feel
manipulatable.
like it's like the
puppets,
Democrats
bro.
are stuck in a toxic relationship. They can't get out.
They're puppets. There's a bigger agenda. Whether they all sit down and talk about it.
Who's pulling the strings?
I don't know. I don't care. That's too conspiracy. But it's clearly that he's there because he's manipulatable by the party. The party that got Bernie Sanders out of the election against Trump the first time, right? Remember when the DNC hacked Bernie's emails? His own fucking team hacked his own emails. The Democratic Party. Come on, bro. The same thing that squashed Andrew Yang when we were watching the TV coverage and he would never get on the DNC TV. Mm-hmm. He would never get on MSNBC. They called him Andrew Wang or something like that a bunch of times. Come on, bro. They're squashing people for a reason.
Yeah.
And they're propping people up for a reason. It's sad to say. Not sad. I just wish I was alive during 2006, 7, and 8 going into Obama so I could have seen it then. I'd like to say he was the last true liberal president, and all the Republicans now will not like me for saying that, but I did appreciate him, and I still appreciate the way he speaks. Like, it's presidential. Like, it sounded good. It made me feel like we'll be fine. We're going to at least put a fucking face on and we'll be fine. You know what I mean? We might be crying behind the scenes when we turn around, but he's going to make us sound like we're fine, not make us look like we're weak and irrational.
Right.
Like we do now. We look weak and irrational to the rest of the world. So that's why I look at him as like the last true liberal, you know. Obama was the kind of guy, like when him and McCain would beef in their debates, like they would be respectful. Someone called Obama a Muslim and McCain was like, yo, don't do that.
Right.
Like that's who his opponent is.
Trump would have been like, yeah,
you Muslim. Yeah, where's your birth certificate? Like, come on, bro.
Right.
Like, what are we doing here? You know? So that's why we leave. We make money and we leave. I'm telling you. Everybody that follows the podcast, y'all stay close. Because whatever mistakes we make, we'll share. And then you guys, as you make money, you can move, you can shake, and then not make the same mistakes. Ooh, that's a t-shirt. Move, shake, and don't make the same mistakes. Write that down. Trademark that.
That reminds like of the shake and bake.
Shake and bake in the box. So yeah, things are interesting. I hope that you guys appreciate these videos. We're going to keep doing them as often as we can. We squeeze them into our schedule, our busy schedule with trading coaching calls, wakeboarding, Top Golf, sun at the beach, sun at the pool. Got to make time for both of those. And other fun stuff that we do in Florida now.
No, we like to. We started this for fun.
Yeah, definitely.
We like this.
So I'm thinking we need to do, I had an idea for an episode.
We got to figure it out with these headphones, though.
I know, man.
Squeezing my glasses
Yo, if
on my
anybody
head.
wants to sponsor us with some dope headphones,
Ugh.
you'll get a lot of coverage. We'll hook you up.
You'll see them in every video.
I think we're good. I think that covers everything.
I'm good. Are you good?
I think so. We'll see how.
Are y'all good?
We'll see how things play out. I mean, to wrap us up here. So today is Thursday.
Oh, we have to do the crystal. We can't forget.
Right. So today is the 37th. No, it's the 27th. The dollar index is slightly up today, just under 93, 92, 99 right now. As we sit, Bitcoin 11.2, so still falling today. And gold 19.33, silver 27 an ounce, platinum 9.24. Platinum's been one of our biggest movers, right? I bought that little bit of platinum a couple of months ago, and it's been a nice little gainer for us. Stocks look red. Everything looks red. It's interesting.
But stocks only go up.
For now. We'll see how long that lasts.
Who said that?
The guy Dave Portnoy from Barstool.
Oh.
That's what he tells everybody. Just buy. Just buy. You definitely should keep buying in that not like everybody should go throw their money in, but you definitely should keep buying right now. But once you start to see the technical market fall over, that's when you start to consider getting out, like I'm doing with Bitcoin. Go look at Bitcoin on the daily chart. You've got me on video. Like I said, today is August 27th. Bitcoin is under the 21 EMA. It broke 2 days ago, retested it yesterday.
Isn't it 2 candles below?
If today finishes bearish enough, it's going to really pull that 8 close to it. And if it crosses the 8 underneath the 21, we could be moving down. And that's where no matter what, I wanted it to go to 100K, but we've been in it since 4K. 4K to 11, I'll take that profit. And I'll look for a better buying price when I see more fundamental value maybe or something like that in the future. But profits are profits. So that's my thought. But now we got it on video.
Blue is blue.
Blue is blue. And again, I think the money to me, like at least right now, Forex is going really well. Bitcoin made me money. Let's take the profits and put it into Forex.
And
I
there's
have more
not
control.
speculation with that.
Sure, Bitcoin could go to 100K, but I'll probably still make money trading it. No guarantees, but I'll probably still make money trading it. So why not just
Well, even if we take it out now, we made money. So,
right. So, but you're looking at the potential in Bitcoin versus the potential in me trading it. Yeah, the potential in Bitcoin is huge, but so is the potential in me trading it, right? And also more control. So, no fundamental shit behind the scenes. What do you got there?
So, like we said in the last episode, I think I'm going to pick out one crystal every episode just to give you guys a little bit of facts. So, I chose rainbow fluorite for this episode. We have 3 different ones here. So you can kind of see, like, even though it's the same crystal, I guess holding it back doesn't really do anything.
It looks better here because it's on manual focus. So it looks, if we go too close, it'll get blurry. See?
Okay. Well, anyway, so we have 3 that are placed all over the house. And this crystal is especially good for focus and productivity. It deals a lot with your intuition and just making sure that you're able to hear your intuition correctly in the sense that there's no blockages. You're able to listen to that inner voice in your head. So they're great crystals to have on your desk, in office spaces, or like if you're an artist or something, anywhere that you want to feel creative, they're great crystals to keep around, and they're really pretty. This one is more green. Some of them have a little bit of purple in them, but honestly, this is one crystal that can range in so many different colors.
This is a weapon.
It's so pretty.
Do you ever meditate with these?
I haven't with that one because that one actually stays in the bathroom. But some crystals,
So
like
when
of
I'm
my
pooping, I'm
smaller
feeling
ones,
real creative.
yeah. And there's some amethyst in the bathroom too, so you're extra calm while you're pooping.
I love it.
But yeah, so if you're into that in your practice, you can start to hold crystals while you're meditating.
I thought you were gonna say while you're pooping.
If you meditate on the toilet, I guess. But yeah, so that is just the little crystal tidbit of this Today's Money podcast / Rylee's crystal journey.
And if you're listening this far in and you want to hear an episode about me and Rylee eating mushrooms, let us know. We'll do a whole episode about psychedelics and what they've done for us. I think that'd be an interesting thing. And then if I decide to start microdosing, I can videotape that and show everybody.
I was thinking about it today.
What?
Taking a little bit.
Microdosing.
Just a little.
Let us know. We appreciate you guys. Always. Make sure you're subscribed. Give it a thumbs up.
I want to give them my question. See if anybody that has listened this far in, if they know anything or what their theories are. So, by no means am I pregnant at all. This is just a question that him and I were talking about earlier.
No babies until 2022, at least.
No ASFX babies, promise.
No corona babies. None of that negative energy being in my spawn.
It's not negative energy. One day it'll be a beautiful thing. Anyway.
Coronavirus is negative energy,
If you do you think that if you eat mushrooms, I don't want to say how much because I have no idea, but just enough, obviously, like because mushrooms have psilocybin in them. If you're pregnant, would the psilocybin then affect the baby's brain? Because psilocybin does so many amazing things for our brains.
Right.
What would it do for, I don't know. I feel like nobody's going to have the answer. It's just something fun to talk about. Like, would that make more connect? Like, would your baby come out smarter maybe? I have no idea.
Could you imagine that motherfucker comes out talking? Put me down, bitch. Don't smack me. I don't need to cry. I promise.
So by this point in the episode, you can see that we're way off topic and just kind of having a little fun with things now. So I think we can end it.
Yeah. It's a good video.
If you listened this far in, drop me a sun emoji in the comments. And if you don't have a sun emoji, I mean sunshine, not like baby sun. Man, so much baby. The sun, like sunshine, or just comment sunshine. Let me know you're still here.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you in the next video.